Life in the city of the future flows in its own way, but after a tragic incident, all the women of the city are forced to acknowledge that the last surviving men are also human, and they welcome them in a special way. Rehearsing her speech, Elena, the future mother of the city, receives approval from the virtual assistant, Larissa. However, AI hints to her that it's worth making some changes in their utopian city. Namely, to banish the men from the city, as the virtual assistant believes they only corrupt women. To finally convince the future mother of the city, the virtual assistant, Larissa, displays a live broadcast from her daughter Rada's bedroom, where she is engaged in an illicit relationship with a man in defiance of the city's laws. The video of her daughter infuriates Elena to the point that she announces the complete extermination of men in the city during her inauguration. Disgruntled women, led by her daughter Rada, disagree with this decision and decide to defend the rights of men. Meanwhile, outside the utopian city, unaware of the new prohibition, the leader of the last surviving men, Baron, prepares to meet with Elena, hoping to win her over with a fashionable suit and expensive perfume. Upon learning of the discontent of the city's inhabitants, Elena seeks help from her predecessor Vera, who has been in a mental prison for several months. After a virtual conversation with the former mother of the city, Elena realizes that she may have acted too hastily, and her decision is softened. Instead of exterminating the last men, she decides to relocate them far away from the city. The future leader of the city announces this plan to the residents, presenting them with a new exciting project. According to the city's mother, men will have a wonderful life in comfortable cottages somewhere in the Belarusian forests. There, they will be able to engage in agriculture and distill moonshine. This plan applies not only to the men from the Two Hills, who are the keepers of male seed, but also to the wild men who live in the forests near the city. Elena shares her plans with Baron during their meeting, but the leader of the wild men reacts to the news less optimistically than the city's residents. He is unimpressed by the musical presentation and promises of a better life. The sound of the sonic machine's whistle spreads for many kilometers, but doesn't penetrate the Two Hills dome, and the residents go about their business. Jera shares his bedroom difficulties with his friends, who are also keepers of male seed. He confesses to his friend Lucius that he enjoys everything, but Rada has become too demanding, and he's tired of not even being able to have a conversation with her. Meanwhile, the disoriented wild men are forced to leave their base and hide in the forest to recover. This unplanned expedition ends with one of the men, named Tummy, finding expired canned food and falling ill from poisoning. An unexpected visitor pays a visit to Rada. It is Lucius. He confesses to her that he knows about her difficulties with Gera, and for the sake of their friendship, he is willing to help by engaging in a romantic relationship with her to lift her spirits. Unaware of this offer from his friend, Gera calmly strolls through the city. He, too, faces temptation. Aya approaches him with an offer to advertise women's toys, but Gera declines. An unknown individual decides to take advantage of the unfortunate incident among the wild men. They show the city's residents pictures of Tommy's body and claim that he died after an attack by the Nightingale. The city's residents summon Elena for another discussion, demanding an explanation for her cruel behavior. Putting her friend's body in the refrigerator, the men also decide to accuse Elena of what happened, while she seeks help from her mentor in the mental prison. Elena is unable to discuss this with Vera, as the captive is too engrossed in mental games to spare any free advice. Elena attempts to divert the attention of the city's residents to a more important issue, the disappearance of mushrooms in the nearby forest. However, Gera prevents the city leader from doing so, demanding that she fulfill the demands of the wild men. Moreover, Baron appears on the main screens, standing next to the refrigerator containing Tummy's body. Everyone rallies against the mother of the city, including the wild men and the residents of Two Hills. Elena has no choice but to send Gera to the savages and try to negotiate a peaceful resolution. The men have an excellent opportunity to obtain everything they could ever dream of, but Tummy unexpectedly resurrects and threatens to thwart their plans. Baron fails to hide his friend from Gera, but the envoy remains loyal to his former comrades. He agrees to play along and relay their demands to Elena, concealing the truth about Tummy's survival. Gera has to shuttle back and forth several times, discussing the demands of the wild men. Their requests seem too significant to Elena, but finally, they manage to reach an agreement, albeit through deceit. Learning that Baron wants to see all the women of the city in a bent position, the diplomat assures Elena that this pose signifies nothing negative. It's just a tribute of respect to the deceased man. The mother of the city leads the residents to the border, and upon her signal, everyone bends into the pose in front of Baron and his friends, repeating the phrase, "Wild men are humans too." Upon learning about what happened, Vera can't contain her laughter, explaining to her successor what it actually meant. The experienced leader advises Elena to find another place for herself, as she believes the new mother won't be able to govern the city effectively. While Baron excitedly finds a new location for his community, Elena mourns the challenging day, especially after hearing the words of the virtual assistant, Larissa, who abandoned her at the most critical moment, but now demands that the issue of relocating the men be resolved within a week. Realizing that she can't handle this alone, the mother of the city orders the release of her mentor from the mental institution, hoping for her support. Jera's morning starts with unpleasant news. After a wonderful night with Rada, he learns that his girlfriend recently had a romantic encounter with Lucius. However, Rada doesn't understand what upset her boyfriend so much. She has to clarify the meaning of the word betrayal, which her friend mentioned. Rada can't dwell on this issue for long. Her mother gathers the entire city to announce Vera's amnesty, which clearly doesn't sit well with the residents who remember how the former leader caused them many problems. However, the former mother pretends that she has seen the error of her ways and will now only bring benefit to the city. After the meeting, Rada returns to her quest for answers, and she has to tell Lucius everything in order to find an explanation together. Another keeper of the seed, Ulik, eavesdrops on their conversation and assures the couple that nothing good awaits them after such actions. They both betrayed Gera. Gera doesn't deal with his problem alone either. He shares his feelings with Aya, and she gladly agrees to comfort her friend. Elena is handed a new list of Baron's demands, which includes an interesting point. Mother of Two Hills must personally deliver gifts to him wearing a red dress. Upon hearing this, Vera joyfully informs her protege that she has no choice. Otherwise, Baron will reveal the truth about the pose they all bent into, and the townspeople will never forgive the city's mother. So Elena obediently gathers the offerings and heads to the Wild Men's base, delighting them with her vibrant attire and the greeting that has become popular in Two Hills. While Baron's company celebrates the city's day, accepting gifts from the women, Tummy sits chained near the heater to avoid spoiling the celebration with his presence. The tension between Gera and Rada is noticed by Baron's local female helpers, and they invite Rada to the table, offering her advice on how to make amends after her betrayal. She just needs to endure a blow from Gera. The frank conversation impresses Rada so much that she decides not to accompany her mother to the city and chooses to stay as a guest to gain more life experience. A fireworks display is launched in honor of the distinguished guests, but Tummy can no longer endure it since he has never seen fireworks before. He tears the battery out, jumps out of the window, and falls right at Elena's feet. However, Baron's company gets lucky again. Women don't recognize him as the guy they're mourning, and the volunteers safely return home. As night falls, Rada invites Gera into a separate room to resolve their conflict like adults, by letting him deliver a blow to her face to finally smooth things over. Gera is surprised by his friend's proposal, but accidentally complies with her request. He wakes up the next morning with a bruise, earning the respect of their new acquaintances. However, Gera feels guilty, knowing that they have been even for a while now, as he cheated on Rada with Aya. He plans to confess this to Rada but doesn't get the chance as a local musician accidentally swallows a bee and the group rushes to his aid. Following Rada's orders, they send the singer to the city for treatment, where his life is saved. It seems like everything has ended perfectly, but Elena faces a new challenge. The artist refuses to leave the utopian city, and Gera and Vera side with him. Eventually, Gera succeeds and becomes the new star of Two Hills, joining the ranks of important men in the city. Hoping for a good mood from Rada, Gera reveals his secret to her. However, Rada's reaction is unexpected. She doesn't forgive her boyfriend. Conspiring with Baron, Elena finds a way to get back at Vera for supporting the artist. The city's mother allows two wild men, Tummy and Krisa, into Two Hills. During this time, Rada tries to understand the patriarchal relationships between men and women, and Ulik comes to her aid. He introduces her to a historian from patriarchal times to enlighten her on the subject of patriarchy. While the guests enjoy themselves in Two Hills, Elena pays a visit to Baron to ensure that his people understand their task. They must instill hatred for the wild men in the city's women. The guys actively carry out the mission, but Vera intervenes in the situation. Wanting to reclaim her position as the mother of the city, she plans to do everything to make sure the wild men stay in Two Hills. Tummy and Krisa are happy to stay, seeing how the women of the city constantly greet them in a specific pose. While Elena enjoys herself with Baron, dancing to a melancholy tune, Tummy and Krisa waste no time. They throw a party and invite all the city's residents. For both sides, this kind of recreation is something new. Baron teaches the city's mother to shoot at bottles, while Krisa pours alcohol for the women. After a couple of glasses, the women abandon social distancing. Ulik and Rada also attend the party. After the advice from the history professor, Rada changes her image, hoping to win over Gera. Baron and Elena's date doesn't go as planned. Missing the target, Elena accidentally hits a goose, and she feels unwell. She flees under the pretext of needing assistance, but Baron is convinced that he has achieved his goal. After such an incident, the city's mother will surely be thinking about him all night. Things don't go the way Rada hoped for. Instead of chasing after her, Gera flirts with Iya, provoking a new conflict. A moment of hugging only exacerbates the situation. Rada attacks her former friend with an axe, and only the professor of patriarchal history manages to save the girls from the consequences. Gera rushes to calm his beloved, but he has to postpone their reconciliation. Krisa informs him that Tummy has escaped and is likely preparing for a sabotage mission on Baron's orders, after which they will be expelled from the city forever. Vera stops the intruder. She convinces Tummy to join her and establish the Wild Men Are People 2 movement. And that concludes episode 4.